Hey everybody, welcome back. So you might remember at the end of the last episode we went and visited the junkyard, but we didn't have enough coin. So I've gone through, done a bit more. What we will do, may as well head back out here because it will take us here anyway. We'll quickly knock over the next story mission, which will give us that bit extra. And then with that we'll take what we got and go find something in the junkyard to build for ourselves. So let's have a quick look and see what this one wants from us. So, hello, I saw that you got quite good reviews and I thought that you'll surely handle my problem. I've been to a few experts already. The things that each expert said and didn't match up at all. Of course, the problem is still there. It boils down to this constant banging. It's unbearable, and the gearbox isn't working properly after the last repair. After a week, changing gear became a nightmare. Please check it and try to fix any problems. I'm counting on your honesty. It's the last chance for my car. If this doesn't do the trick, I'll have no other option than to get rid of it. Anyway, let me know what happens. Okay, so it's all not a single part identified. Okay, well, let's start doing our diagnosis and see what we find. Not sure if I'd used the OBD scanner on a previous episode or not, because I know we didn't unlock that initially. But yeah, so we'll run through all these tests and see what it tells us. So it looks like we'll be stripping down this engine. I've done all the checks, but it can't be started, so we're not going to be able to do the test drive. So we'll just get it in on the hoist and start with what we can do. Okay, let's see what we've identified. Okay, yeah, so we've identified a small portion of it, but still going to have a fair bit to do. But hopefully we find a bit of that in the process of doing this. So I may skip through a few of these bits and just to keep the length down. But the first thing we're going to have to do is get to the engine. So I'll get the wheels off. I'll get the oil drain over, get the oil out of it. Alright, so at this stage we don't have the engine lifter to pull it out of the car, so we've got to rebuild it actually in the car. But yeah, so I'll just get going with that. Get it out, see what else we see on the way. Yeah, that's what I was saying about some of the starter motors being from the top. I think that was in the last episode I mentioned that yeah. Go to do some of the starter motors and you have to do it from underneath, other ones you have to do from the top. So since we're back down this end, we may as well just keep going and get some of this apart. So we've got the extra points before we actually buy anything. I'll use that extra point to get the 5% discount on the parts that we were doing. And since there's going to be a lot of mounting and unmounting, I'll see if there's extra points to do that as well. Yeah, so I don't have enough points for that, but I can increase the screwing speed, which will make it undo things a bit quicker. Yep, slight improvement there. Yep, there's a couple of the pistons that need changing. While we're under here, I'll grab this sway bar off as well. Right, so looks like a couple of these caps need doing as well. Yeah, that one I don't think we need to take out. Later on, once we unlock things and can actually just pull the whole engine out, and will make life a lot easier. But that's a few unlocks away. Actually, what I might do, just in case, I'll pull that one out, just in case it happens to have the rings gone in it. I can't see any fault with the bits I can see, but if I go and do all the rest of it and get it all back together and find out that there's a pair of rings that still needed to be changed, and it's because I didn't pull this one out, that will not be. No, that was fine. Could have actually left it, but I said better to have done it. And there's one of the other issues. Right, let's have a look and see what we've identified now. Oh, yeah. Alright, so we've still got about 6 parts that we haven't identified, but they're probably suspension items because we pretty well pulled that whole engine down. So we can just go through and get all these parts, get that engine back together, and then have a look and see what those other 6 parts are. So what I'm going to do, because everything's got to be above 72%, for the parts that I repair. So I'm going to get rid of all the broken parts out of my inventory, that way I don't accidentally put something back in. Okay, so definitely needed one of the camshafts, because there's only one of those that was good. Little sneaky injectors underneath here. If you don't notice them and do them separately, you could easily miss them. Okay, so got to be careful there. Grab a couple of spark plugs and I'll show you one of the little tricky things with the car, with this game. So if we have a look here, minimum condition 72%, but it would have only, so it's only 2 of the spark plugs that have failed according to the list, but one of the spark plugs is only 69%. So what happens there, as long as it's put back in one of the spots where the spark plug was already considered okay, it doesn't matter. But if you happen to put it in one of the spots where it needed to be replaced, it won't count. So yes, that's obviously worked, but what I'll do, just to show you what I mean, just see if I can figure out which one it was. Yeah, so if I put that spark plug in that spot and then have a look, it doesn't count as being changed. So yeah, so it is a little bit silly the way it does that, but so apparently that spark plug's okay in this cylinder, but not okay in that cylinder. It's because failed items have to be replaced with a minimum quantity of quality of 72%. But items that didn't fail, which means so if they weren't red but they could have been under 72%, but that's not classed as a fail, they can go back on, but they can't go back on in the spot where something had failed. So a little bit complicated, something to just be aware of, that you can actually not complete a job because of a technicality. And we might have the same issue here with the coils. Yeah, one of those is actually under, but I am pretty sure it's the 2 middle coils was the problem, if I recall correctly. So what I'll do is I'll just put those 2 in first. Now I'll just double check that again as well. So ignition coils have passed, so it's accepted that. Okay, so that's basically the engine back together from the top. We've got a couple of things to put underneath it, but before we do that, just grab these rubber bushes, put these in from here. Yeah, so we're going to have the same problem with the cat. Maybe, yeah. Okay, but I know this one here definitely wasn't an issue, so I'll put that one there. And that way it's all good. I'm going to need 3 of those. Okay, so that should show all the engine components done. Clutch plate, flywheel drive shaft, yep, that's all. Gearbox, which we'll get up to in a sec. So one of the other parts that are going to need replacing. Lucky I saw that. That could have taken a bit of finding if I didn't notice it. Same on this side. Put it down, put the starter motor on, and then have a look and see where we're at. Still got to do the rear sway bar, and still got 6 parts to change. Rear sway bars 1. Looks like these bushes here might yep, that's a couple of them. Okay, so I do believe there should be 2 items left, which we've still got to find. We may need to take it out for a test drive now that we've got everything else done. Just before we do that, just going to have a look and see if I can see it, because you can usually see it by the corrosion on things. So the corroded bolt there, not worried about. That's not gonna be classed as a part. Pretty sure I found it. There we go. Drive not required. Two more bushes. So, yep, looks like we're all done, all finished. There we go. Let's go to back to the junkyard, have a look and see what they got there. Hopefully something we can afford to buy for ourselves. Okay, welcome back to the junkyard. So it looks like every time you load in, it'll load in with different cars. So you got different availability each time. So that one's a little bit above our financial capacity. In case you didn't notice, obviously these ones here aren't part of the available ones, they're just decoration. So the ones that are available will highlight when you get near them. So okay, so we can definitely afford that one. Probably won't choose that one. We'll see what else we see, but okay, yep, that one there is definitely a better option for us. Yeah, a little bit high, won't have enough left to do anything with. Doesn't look like there's any other options for us. So yeah, so this one here we could definitely afford. The problem with this one, the higher the kilometers, the less you get paid for them. So we could go and do a bunch of work on this and we'd basically barely be making our money back because it's done 400,000 kilometers. Every 100,000 is a different bracket. So this one is 200,000 Ks, so it's definitely going to be better. If there was anything under 200,000 would be better again. But this one's still in the 200,000 Ks. It's going to leave us more money to work with. So I think this is going to be our first little project car. So I don't see a better option. So let's just double check the figures on it. Yeah. Okay. So we get that, and we'll head back to our garage. I don't really understand the value of buying the parts at the junkyard, or even the parts from the barnyards later, actually, to be honest. To me, it just doesn't seem logical. I only ever go there just for the cars themselves. Okay, so let's move this in. So we got a good deal on that one. So we could literally just sell that and instantly make $1,000. Which by the time you take out the 500 to go to the junkyard, that is actually like only about 700. But if we do this, which is why we unlocked the welder first, so we can repair all the chassis. So that gets that back up into a lot better condition. Now let's have a look and see what we're worth. So yeah, so if we could literally sell that now and be making $4,000. So which does it show up that cost in there? Yeah. So it doesn't actually track the costing, but so that definitely ahead there now, even just as it is. So we've only got about $2,000 on this one, so we're not going to be able to do everything on this one. But what we can probably look at doing is finishing the suspension off, putting like a wheel back on it, at least get it up to like a rolling chassis stage. Don't think we'll have enough to actually do anything with the engine, but let's start by getting it mobile and see where we're at. Now, because this is our own car now, we're not limited to what it thinks should be done. Anything we replace is going to increase the value by the value of the part times the multiplier based off the kilometers. Which in one aspect means that it actually doesn't really matter what we put on there. It automatically increases by that dollar value times the multiplier. So, but obviously from an aesthetic side of things, we want it to look as good as it can before we sell it. Okay, so that's all the front stuff off. Now later on, once we unlock the expansion here, we'll actually be able to repair parts as well, which means you actually can make a lot more money then, but you need the initial investment to be able to do it. So for now, we have to just buy the bits that we need. What I will do, I don't know if you've seen me use this one yet. This is for dismantling and assembling suspension components. So we'll get that stripped down, we'll get the tyre stripped off. Just saw we had a case here. Let's open that and see what we get this time. A case from a case. a bit of XP, a bit of salvage points, which are not really useful to us at this stage, but they will become better. Okay, so let's get a rack, a couple of steering knuckles, and a sway bar. Yeah, but let's just clear out all this from our inventory, because we won't be putting any of that back on anyway. I'd rather sell it without it than with that in that condition, so at least all the suspension is finished. And bottom suspension arm C. Okay, let's put them shock absorbers together, which got disoriented. Okay, front axle knuckle cover. Front wheel hub. Okay, well, unfortunately, from a budget point of view, that's probably as far as we're going to get on that one. So we've given someone a vehicle that has been sort of headed in the right direction. Give them something to be able to continue with. I was hoping to get it up to rolling chassis stage, which the only way I'd be able to do that now is if I start pulling other bits off and selling them and doing it, but that kind of seems a bit pointless. But I think as that's as good as that one's going to get, we'll sell that, and that's going to basically give us a $4,000 profit there. So there we go. Alright, well, yeah. I think that's where we'll leave it there for today. So we've now got access to the junkyard. There's sufficient money to go through and do it. We could, with that money now, unlock that garage extension, but I think we're better off using that to do a couple more cars first. So next episode we might go through, grab a couple more cars, see if we can get sort of to the point where we're actually able to complete some, and then we can use that money to extend our garage and open up some more options for us. So, but yeah, thanks for joining me, and we'll see you on the next one.